at the center of the field. They will receive. Wolverines will be on defense first, and right away, Phil, they get to test out the running of Ben Haddock.
Yes, and a lot of people, as we were commenting here in the press box before the ball game, have been comparing Ben Haddock to Todd Montaigne, a great runner from Riverside who graduated. And their size is one thing that's obviously comparable. But as far as his durability, that's yet to be tested, because we knew the great running of Todd Montaigne. He was carrying the ball 30, 40 times a ball game, and he was a very durable back. He didn't get injured. He didn't fumble the ball. He's the kind of guy that everybody likes to have. But size-wise, they are very, very comparable. 6'2", 205 pounds for Haddock. And the Wolverines will be kicking off. We mentioned the injury to Sean Reese, but it does not affect his kicking. He will be able to kick off, and I was watching him in pre-games. He was kicking field goals from around the 30-yard line. So if needed, Sean Reese will be available, especially for kicking.
Glad you're with us tonight. Hope you stay with us for the entire ball game this evening. It is going to be a good one. By the way, a lot of Pittsburgh television stations rating this as the game of the week and the game to watch, and they are here this evening, including Channel 4 and also Channel 2 for the coverage of this evening's game. Probably can catch some footage of that if you'd like to this evening when you go home tonight following the game. That, of course, after you go to the oldies party. So take a television with you to the oldies party at the Harvard Community Center. And by the way, this reminder also for our listeners, if you hear some hacking and coughing tonight, you'll have to excuse Phil and myself, because we're both hit with the same kind of virus. We have a cold this evening, and the common cold seems to be getting the better of it. But I think we'll make it through this game. Wolverines set to kick it away. Morgan handling the kicking duties. And it's taken by one of the up men. Big hole for New Brighton. He's taken down after a gain of about 20 yards, gets it up to his own 35-yard line. As Joe Smiley carried the ball for the New Brighton Lions. Coming up for the stop for the Wolverines was Kurt Augustinelli, the 5'10", 180-pound sophomore. And by the way, that was Sean Reese kicking off. Check that, not Morgan, but Sean Reese doing the kicking.
And Sean didn't show very much of an effect as far as the kicking went. He kicked the ball nice and far and high for the Wolverines, but he didn't follow his kick up. He stayed out of the contact area. He kind of came to the side of the field. All right, we're ready.
Immediately, New Brighton sends twins to the far side of the field. Backs are set in the I formation. Straight ahead handoff to the fullback Marsh, and he's sacked up immediately by the fired-up Wolverine defense. Kevin Jones up to make the stop, along with the interior defensive front of the Wolverines. Joe Roth also getting up off that pile.
Now, Jeff, we were watching the wide receiver, 6'2" Andy Hill in the pregame. He has his right thumb taped up very heavily, and he is quite a receiver, and the Wolverines are going to have to watch for him, but we wonder to what extent that right thumb is going to be bothering him, because it's in a virtual splint on his right hand.
Hill out wide to the far side. Brenner in the slot also to the far side. Backs again out of the eye. 2nd down, 8. Pitch back to Haddock, trying to get him outside. Puts his head down, and he picks up a couple as he gets the ball up to the 40-yard line. That will bring up a 3rd down and about 6 to go for a New Brighton first. So that time the Wolverines defense did well. Roth again with the stop for the Wolverines.
The option play is a key bread and butter play out of that I formation that the Lions will attack the Wolverines with, and it will be a big play ball game for the Wolverine linebackers, Richard and Roth. Both were up there on that tackle, and this will be a big play also. 3rd down passing situation to see what kind of passing attack the Lions have.
Andy Hill comes out wide to the near side. He is a big target. Here comes the drop back by DeMarco. Looks for his safety man. Goes to Haddock. Haddock spins off one tackle, and he's stuck for a loss of about 5 yards as the Wolverines defense converges. Coming up with a stop is Joe Roth and also Scott Timmerman as they strung that play out well. Hill was covered well downfield by the defensive backfield. Kevin Jones on the coverage. And the sophomore quarterback, DeMarco, started to get a little bit rattled, Phil, when he was pressured, had to toss it off to his safety valve.
That's right. It's nice you have a big safety valve like that, but the big 6'2" Andy Hill was covered very tightly by Ketterer right off the bat and then picked up deep by Kevin Jones.
Mike Barnes will do the punting this evening for the New Brighton Lions. He's standing on his own 20. Has a lot of time, gets off a high yet wobbly kick. Ketterer back to receive, and along with Portugallo, Hill at a bounce and takes a New Brighton Lion bounce as the ball will be down on the 30-yard line. No score in the ball game. 9:28 remaining in the first quarter of play, and Wolverines now have their chance at the football.
And the Wolverine defense has been true to form in their first set of downs. Sometimes, Jeff, I would prefer my team to take the defense in a big ball game like this. It gets a little bit of the butterflies out of the stomach, allows you to do some hitting before you have to touch the ball.
Well, the Wolverines did that last week when they won the toss against Mars, chose to go ahead and go on defense first. Asaldo, the quarterback, sets him down. Hall goes in motion. Straight ahead handoff to Chapman. Tripp says he gets to the line of scrimmage, but is still able to pick up a couple as he gets it across the 30 up to about the 34-yard line. So we'll call it a pickup of, now they'll back it up and say his knee hit just across the 30 on the 31. So pickup of only 1 yard, 2nd and 9, as Tom Grissetti made the stop.
It was Grissetti who came up from a defensive secondary, was able to come in and fill that gap and bring down Billy Chapman.
Kevin Jones on the counter, finds some running room, cuts back inside, gets it up across the 35, about the 38-yard line. So Jones with a pickup of close to 8 yards in the play. We'll call it 3rd down and about 2 for a Wolverine 1st down, as Grissetti again made the stop.
And once again, Jeff, we see the same particular pattern set up by the Wolverines. They'll run their quick trap up the middle with Chapman and follow it up with a off-tackle run by Jones, and that's exactly what they've done. Joe Roth comes in, look for him, the big man going off-tackle to pick up a short yardage.
3rd and 2 for the Wolverines from their own 38-yard line. Backs are split. Roth comes in motion. Roth takes the ball. He's up across the 40. Close to a Wolverine 1st down. It all matters on where they spot it. I do believe it is a 1st. It is. Coming up with the tackle on that play was Ray Rice, defensive back, coming up to make the stop. So far, the Wolverines offensive line controlling that line of scrimmage.
And if the coach's report was that true to form, watch the offensive and defensive lines. Coach Rankin says the team that wins the line will win the ball game. So let's watch the up-front play tonight.
Roth stays in. Hall goes in motion. Chapman finds a hole, gets it up close to midfield. Pickup of about 9 as he gets it to midfield. Stripe on the 50. 2nd down, 1 yard to go for a Wolverine 1st. Jimmy Little making that stop.
Jimmy Little also in the defensive secondary. When players in that defensive secondary, Jeff, we say it every week, when they're starting to make the tackles, listen to their names, because that means the Wolverines are working their way upfield. As long as Chapman is being brought down by the secondary, you know the Wolverines are gaining yardage.
Petrelli splits it out wide to the near side. Wolverines also have a wide out to the far side. Chapman again straight ahead. He is close to another Wolverine 1st down, but stacks up quickly as he gets it to about the 47-yard line of the New Brighton Lions. Coming up off the bottom of the pile is Mike Stave with a stop for New Brighton.
It looks as though it might be a 1st down from our vantage point, but the referees are calling for a measurement. If the chains are true to form, looking across the field, Jeff, it looks like it's only about a yard and a half past, the marker's a yard and a half past the 50-yard line, but the ball looks like it's a good 2 or 3 yards past the 50.
That's what it looks like from here, but they want to be just safe, I guess. 7:04 left in this 1st quarter of play. No score, but the Wolverines are driving. Had a tremendous defensive stand, and it is a good 1st down by about a good football and a half length. 1st and 10 for the Wolverines. They stopped New Brighton cold. 3 downs and punt. Now they are moving the ball. They took over on about their own 20-yard line following the New Brighton punt. 1st down, 10 for the Wolverines. Ball on the 47-yard line of New Brighton. Chapman on the trap. Gets it down to the 45-yard line of New Brighton. Jim Hovansik on the stop for the New Brighton Lions. Pick up a 4, 2nd and 6.
It's Richard and DeCarry on that left side of the line, and I see Kevin Jones coming back in to replace Joe Roth, so I'd probably be looking for that off-tackle play that they run so successfully.
Chapman and Jones are split in the backfield. Hall out of the slot in motion. Straight at Chapman to the 40, to 35, down to the 25-yard line, and eventually taken down at the 18-yard line as that quick opening trap off the right side was able to spring Chapman as he was able to curl off that run, brought down by the defensive backfield, and Joe Smiley making the stop defensively for the New Brighton Lions. So a big game for Billy Chapman and another Wolverine 1st down. Smiley making that touchdown-saving tackle on the New Brighton 18-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Wolverines. They continue to drive. Chapman again, trap off the left side. He stacked up immediately this time. I believe he fumbled the football. He did. New Brighton came up with the officials still have not signaled.
I didn't see that play take place, Jeff. I was looking down to see who got the tackle, and I was also going to compliment the right side of the offensive line on that previous play, on a great play, the blocking on the right side of the offensive line. The Wolverines opened up a gaping hole for Chapman, and in the very next play, the Lions ball hawked the ball away from Billy Chapman.
Chapman was stuck at about the 15-yard line of New Brighton. The football squirted loose. Chapman went on his back, and it was recovered by the New Brighton Lions. Bob DeLacio. First down and 10 now from the 15-yard line for New Brighton. Haddock tries to get outside. He does so as he's bowled outside and taken out of bounds by the cornerback, Portugallo. Picks up close to a New Brighton first down.
Right there on the right side of the Wolverine defense, somebody got beat around the outside, and that opened up the whole sideline for Haddock. Portugallo had to come up and make the tackle. And as, like we just said for the New Brighton Lions, it's also true for the Ellwood City Wolverines. When those defensive secondary men are making tackles, that's a big problem for you.
New Brighton with the ball on their own 21-yard line. The momentum has changed for a bit to the side of New Brighton. They have called timeout. No score in the ball game. 5:34 remaining in the first quarter of play. Now this message. Still from their own 20-yard line. Billy Chapman, though, coughed the ball up on the 15 of New Brighton. And New Brighton, from their first play from this series at scrimmage, picked up 9 yards with a Ben Haddock's run around left end to their face with a 2nd down and 9 situation. Nothing really fancy about the way Haddock does it, or should I say the New Brighton offense. They just pull one guard. Sometimes they don't. They just lead the fullback Marsh and let Haddock do the rest of it. Rollout pass by the sophomore. DeMarco goes downfield for his intended receiver, Hill, and they will probably be going to him a lot this evening. That pass broken up by Portugallo. Good coverage. And if you look at it from our standpoint, Phil, that's a mismatch of slight. Portugallo about 3 inches shorter than the 6'2" Hill.
That's right, but Paul Portugallo had him beat deep. He had the advantage there. He had the position on the ball. It very easily could have even been called offensive interference because Paul was waiting for the ball to come down, and Hill went up and wrestled it away from him. So actually the Wolverines played that defensively very well.
DeMarco, the sophomore quarterback, handoff to Haddock. Haddock gets the first down for New Brighton. They were faced with a 3rd and 1, getting the ball up across their own 25 to the 26-yard line. So pick up of a couple. That'll make it a first down and 10. And Jones in on the stop for the Wolverines along with Portugallo.
We should have probably predicted that long pass on 2nd down and short for the Lions because with a big back that they have, they had a short first down attempt, so they had nothing to lose by throwing the ball long on 2nd and short.
New Brighton's Hill comes out wide to the near side. Lions backfield is split. Marsh and Haddock's the backs. Straight ahead handoff to Marsh. He'll find little running room as he gets it up across the 26 to about the 28-yard line. Pickup of a couple. 2nd down and 8 for the New Brighton Lions. Rock with the stop.
It probably was just a play to keep the Wolverines honest on the inside. Like the Wolverines will run a lot of times up the middle to keep the defenses set to allow them to run off tackle and to run their option outside with Haddock. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them come back with Haddock to the outside now that they have the Wolverines thinking inside.
New Brighton out of the I formation. Haddock dots the I. Marsh is the fullback. Here comes the option. DeMarco, he'll keep it. His pitch man's gone. He has nowhere to go with it. He's taken down at the 28-yard line after a pickup of about a yard, and good coverage by Kevin Jones coming up to cover that pitch man, and he hit the pitch man as soon as he saw DeMarco was going to pitch the ball to him, and you can do that.
Yes, and I wasn't sure whether that was Jones or Nick Perry in there. Both of them were up. And I think that was just a great defensive play, not so much on the tackle on the quarterback in that case as much as it was to get rid of the pitch man. And they took the option right away from the New Brighton Lions. Now it makes it 3rd and long, and we'll watch our pass defense now.
Intended pitch man was the wingback, Brian Brenner. Backs out of the I formation, straight drop back off the play action. Go to their big man, Hill. He bobbled the ball going out of bounds. It should be no good. They give it to him. Okay. He probably had a better vantage point than from what we have, so that'll be enough for a first down. Good catch. Credit that good catch to Andy Hill because he had to go really high to get that one and was able to get his 1 foot in bounds.
That was virtually a jump ball in basketball because DeMarco put the ball up in the air and told his big wide receiver go up and get it, and he is taller than all the defensive backs for the Wolverines. I looked down on the sideline to see if the coaches were complaining about him being in or out of bounds, and there didn't seem to be any complaining, so I thought he was in.
They're Brighton with the ball on the 41-yard line. First down and 10. DeMarco, the sophomore quarterback, steps him down. Pitch back to the near side. Haddock, he's hit in the backfield. Coming up to make the stop for the Wolverines is Jay Patrick, the inside linebacker. He shot the gap, filled the hole, and was able to make the stop. Loss of a yard, 2nd and 11.
The Wolverines have been able to pick out and read that offensive set of the New Brighton Lions because both men were in that time. It was Kevin Jones and Jay Patrick. One took the pitch man and one took Haddock. Both of them were there. And the quarterback, DeMarco, could have gone to either one of them. So the Wolverines did the next best thing. They tackled both players, Jones and Patrick, both up there. Nice defensive plays. All right, 2nd down and now about 11.
Chuck Becker checks in. He'll line up the tight end here on the near side, taking the place of the starting tight end, Ray Wright. Motion man, Brenner goes in motion to the far side. Flags fly, and I do believe we have illegal motion against New Brighton. No?
It could very well be against the right end for the Ellwood City Wolverines who jumped too.
That's what it's against, the Wolverines. If that's the case, I believe it might have been, I think that might have been Timmerman that jumped off.
Yeah, it was Scott Timmerman on the right side because as soon as he did it, he kind of jumped up in disgust and almost hit himself in the helmet as if to say he shouldn't have done that. He was anticipating the count, and that's a bad thing to do in football, is to try to figure out when the ball's going to be snapped.
2nd and about 6 to go from the 45-yard line. 2 wideouts to the near side. Straight ahead to their big man, Haddock, spins and falls forward, and he'll be just shy of the mid-stripe at the 50. Brought down by Portugallo for the Wolverines. Pickup of about 3, so that'll make it a 3rd down and 2.
Well, right now, Jeff, it's been a game up in the trenches. They're kind of pushing each other around like a couple of heavyweights feeling each other out, trying to figure out where the opponent is more vulnerable. Right now, the Wolverines are going to have to tighten up on defense and come up with a big key play.
Just about 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. We have no score thus far. DeMarco, the sophomore quarterback, sets him down, backs out of the eye. Again to Haddock. He's upended at the 50-yard line. Jay Patrick shooting in again, and he's doing a fine job taking the place of the injured Sean Reese tonight at inside linebacker. And New Brighton will be forced to punt. That was the biggie right there.
A big defensive play by the Wolverines. They were able to hold inside. Ross got rid of the interference, and then Jay Patrick had a clear shot at the big running back Haddock, and that could be a key in the ball game right there. 3rd down and short, and being able to hold that big guy gives you a lot of momentum. Now, I would watch the Wolverines because catching a ball inside their own 20-yard line on a punt is going to be difficult.
Barnes, lots of time to punt it away. Gets off a wobbly one, but it does turn over. Wolverines get out of the way. It's down on the Wolverine 25-yard line, relatively the same position they had when they touched the ball in this half. Just to give you an idea on how both teams have been controlling the line of scrimmage, Bill, when they've had the ball offensively, or should I say moving the ball somewhat. Wolverines, New Brighton got the ball first to start this ball game tonight. Then the Wolverines drove the ball for a while. They fumbled, and then New Brighton had it. Now this is only the 2nd time the Wolverines have touched the ball.
And we're inside. It was just about a minute left in the first quarter and still no score.
Casaldo, straight ahead handoff to Chapman. He fights his way up to about the 29-yard line. You know, that'll be about 4 yards shy of Wolverine's first down.
Okay, excuse me. When Billy Chapman gets that ball inside, sometimes he's dragging linebackers with him. He actually was hit first at about a 1-yard gain, and he stretched it out to a 5-yard gain. So he carries people for 3 or 4 yards.
All in motion to the far side. Again, Chapman, the trap back to the near side, up close to a Wolverines first down, but he will be shy, I believe, by about half a yard. Ball resting on the Wolverines 34-yard line, and they will probably have to call. Well, there, won't they? They're going to have to call to bring the sticks in to take a look. 28 seconds remaining in this first quarter of play. No score in the ball game. Now they're coming up for that Wolverine offensive front. 28 seconds remaining in the first quarter of play. No score in the ball game from Helling Stadium as the Wolverines are fighting it out against the New Brighton Lions. This is probably one of the biggest ball clubs they will face this season size-wise. I'm speaking of the bodies of the players. Straight ahead, Chapman. He's hit the backfield. He won't get it. He will not get it. Who shot in to make the tackle for Mike Schmidt? The defensive nose guard shot in to make that stop for New Brighton. So a good defensive play by Schmidt. And Jeff, Wolverines will be forced to punt.
But they're going to let the quarter run out first because we're coming down to the end of the quarter.
That is the end of the first quarter of play. Ellwood City nothing, New Brighton nothing. We'll be back with a second quarter of play right after this.
I'm surprised really with that call because they turned around to hand the ball off to Chapman, and that kind of a little bit of a slower developing play against the virtual goal line defense up there kind of takes too much time to develop, and the men are able to penetrate the gaps. I was actually expecting a quarterback sneak. You have Brian Asaldo in there at 6'2", 200 pounds. I'm surprised that they didn't just go push him straight forward. They only needed about the length of the football.
That's right. I was just going to say they needed to only go about the length of the football. Sophomore Tom Morgan will do the punting duties for the Wolverines. They haven't had to do it too much this year. That punt is low. Flag falls also. Morgan gets a good roll, and it will roll down inside the New Brighton 30-yard line. Be down on the 28. Let's see what the flag indication is.
It was thrown in the Ellwood City Wolverine backfield, and I know it was not a roughing the kicker call, so I think it probably had to be an illegal procedure call, a movement of some kind against the Wolverines, and they'll probably have to punt that ball again because although Morgan didn't get a great punt away, he did get a good roll after the ball hit the ground.
Indication has been it is against the Wolverines, but I didn't see what the call was. No score in the ball game. We're just starting second quarter action. And let's see. Wolverines will be punting it again because Morgan is out on the field. Okay.
There's no doubt in my mind, Jeff, that this has to be the biggest crowd of the season. In fact, it's the biggest crowd that I've seen here in recent years. Wolverines have played a lot of big games in the last couple of years in Helling Stadium. But to my knowledge, I would say this has to be the largest crowd that I've seen here in many, many a year.
Both sides, people standing all the way around the field where you are permitted to stand. If you're familiar with Helling Stadium, you'll know what I'm talking about. Both end zones are filled. Outside, of course, people watching the game. Morgan set to punt it away from his own 11. This time he'll get off a little better kick. It will be short, though, and taken by New Brighton on the near side. Carrying the football for New Brighton will be their regular starting wingback, Brian Brenner, and he picked up about 10. And he gets it across midfield into Wolverine territory on the 49-yard line, so they have good field position to work with.
Yes, and that didn't turn out to be a 5-yard penalty against the Wolverines. That ended up being a 20-yard penalty because the ball had rolled out of bounds in about the 30-yard line, actually about the 25. And instead, the Brighton Lions now get the ball right at midfield. So that's nearly a 25-yard penalty. That hurts the Wolverines badly.
Ball sitting on the near hash mark. 3 backs lined up in the full house formation. Everybody's tight. Here comes the counter. Nowhere. Brian Brenner came back for the counter off the wingback position. He was led by his blocker, the fullback Marsh, and Haddix went in motion to the far side. Wolverines' Joe Roth with the stop.
Roth and Richard both on the inside from their linebacking spots were able to diagnose that play. They were able to fill the gaps and help out because the offensive line had held up their linemen the defensive line had held up the line very well, and Roth and Richard were able to move in.
Out of the I formation, Brenner is in the slot to the far side. Drop back pass. Looks. Goes almost picked off. I thought Ketterer had it. He was waiting for it. The intended receiver was Brenner coming out of the backfield. Also in that area was Hill, so they tried to flood the zone on the Wolverine 40-yard line. And a diving Brenner got a hand on it and tipped it into the belly of Ketterer, but he wasn't able to hang on.
When Chris Ketterer sees the films of that play, he's probably going to tell himself he's going to have to come up and meet the ball because the ball was thrown directly in Chris Ketterer's direction. He thought it was coming to him, but there was also a receiver who was doing a curl out, down and out pattern right in front of him. Had he stepped up, he would have had an easy interception and gone down the field with it. Still no score at Helling Stadium.
DeMarco sets him down in the I formation, wide out to the near side, slot man. Here comes the screen. DeMarco gets rid of it off to Brenner. He has some running room. Good defensive play by the Wolverines. Joe Rock stayed home on about the 50-yard line. He was able to get Brenner as he cut back across the inside grain. Had some running room, Phil, but I'll tell you what, you saw that. You had your tongue hanging out there for a second. If Ross didn't make the tackle, Brenner could have gone all the way.
Oh, wow. I'll tell you, Jeff, had Joe Roth missed that tackle, there was 30 yards of empty space between Brenner and the next Ellwood City Wolverine, because they had set an entire blitz on the quarterback, and the screen had worked perfectly, but Joe Roth made that saving tackle.
Barnes, low snap. He's going to punt it, almost blocked by the Wolverines. Patrick came in. Ketterer calls for a fair catch and downs it on the Wolverine 21-yard line. They take over first down and 10. 9:47 remaining in the first half of play. No score. Now this message.
Harold McElwain, a perennial winner who is assisted by Floyd Frank and Kevin McElwain. It's the team that new car buyers have preferred to do business with for over 50 years. McElwain Chevrolet Oldsmobile, 812 Beaver Avenue, the dealer they know they can trust.
Joe's the ball carrier on a straight-ahead dive, and they try to mix the blocking up inside. He'll pick up a good 5 on the play. 2nd and 5 for the Wolverines. On the stop was Bill DeLacio of the New Brighton Lions. 2nd and 5, Wolverines with the ball on their own 26. And motion against Wolverines. They fumbled the football, but I believe the flags went before. It should be a dead ball foul. It will be.
Yeah, there was a lot of movement, but I think the offside might be against New Brighton.
Oh, my, okay.
It was the interior line, Jeff. They made a movement in there, and that kind of jinxed Mike Newplower up front. He made a quick motion, and centers oftentimes are trained to do that, to make a snap on a ball when they see a guy jump. And the quarterback, Brian Assalto, was caught off guard. That's probably why he also lost control of that snap. So the Wolverines gained the benefit of a 5-yard penalty.
2nd and 1 now for the Wolverine first down. Ball on their own 31. Paul in the slot. Chapman stops, cuts back inside, finds a little bit of a hole, and close to a Wolverine first down. Might be shy by about the length of half a football. And they found it tough going on the inside this evening.
Yeah, now I'm going to be really curious on this particular situation. 3rd down, and once again, like you said, just about the length of the football. They might have to call for a measurement. But if the Wolverines are short, Jeff, let's just guess here. Are you going to go back to that handoff to Chapman when you know the defense is going to be keying on him? I really wonder. Coach Rankin has been a master at play calling over the last 3 or 4 years. He's done the unexpected more often than not. And I would be surprised for him to come back with that same play again.
Well, they brought Roth into the ball game. You see that, and we know that in a lot of short yardage plays, he's either leading the way or carrying the ball.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'll bet all of the Hall's cough drops that I have here tonight that will go to Joe Roth. That's like putting the refrigerator in the backfield and saying who's going to carry the ball, because Joe Roth, when he's in there, you know he's going to either get the ball or, as you said, he might be leading for someone. But in this case, I think I'd just give it to Joe and say, go get it for me.
3rd and inches. 8:42 left in the first half. No score in this ball game. Wolverines have it on their own 31-yard line. 3rd and inches. They'll have 3 guys to the far side, straight ahead of Saldo, and he should have that first down. On the stop, Mike Schmid. If you really want to call that a stop, Schmid just basically laying on top of Saldo after he plunged forward behind his big center, Newpower. So the Wolverines get that first down.
Yeah, and that's a play that we thought that maybe they should have called last time, and they came back with it this time. The quarterback keeper, just a quick sneak up the middle, and Brian Assalto gained almost 3 yards on that. It wasn't as if it was a short length of the ball. He was able to move the ball well ahead. And Brian Assalto is not a little guy up there, 6'2", 200 pounds. He can push the ball ahead when he gets his chance.
That's the type of play, Phil, where it all depends on the explosion from the offensive line, whether or not they beat the defensive line to the ball. Paul comes in motion for the Wolverines to the near side. They're working off a 1st and 10. Option to Chapman. Hit it to 30, gets it up to the 35, still churning, and up to about the 36-yard line. So we'll give Bill a pickup of about 4, 2nd and 6. And on the stop for the New Brighton Lions was Conrad Newman.
That is the fullback option that the Wolverines have added to their offensive scheme this year. I see Joe Roth has come back in for Ellwood City. The Wolverines have added that fullback option, but on that time, Brian Assalto had to pitch the ball a little bit sooner than what he wanted to, and Chapman didn't get a chance to get a full head of steam.
Roth is in the slot. He goes in motion. Here comes the option. Rather, Chapman carrying the ball, and He'll get it up close to another Wolverine first down. To check that, Basaldo again fooling me on the play. He's done it at least once every ball game so far. And he'll get it about a yard shy of another Wolverine first down, and they just might even bring the sticks into measure, and I believe they will. On the stop, though, was Newman again for the New Brighton Lions.
This may set a record for the most times they've had to call for measurements in one ball game. I believe this is the 5th time already in the evening, with 7 minutes and 37.5 minutes left in the first half. Still no score. The Wolverines driving. And what scared me about that play, and Jeff, you can look down on the field right now, it's Bill Chapman holding very gingerly his right hand. It looks as though he's hurt his right hand. John DeLuca's coming into the ball game, but Chapman's staying in there. He looks as though he might have jammed a finger or something on that last play.
That's the type of thing you don't like to see, especially with the quality of running back that Chapman has been for the Wolverines the past few years. 7:20 and running remaining in the first half of play. No score in the ball game. Wolverines, though, again surmounting a drive. This one starting from about their own 21-yard line. Option to the near side. DeLuca takes the pitch. Nice cutback by DeLuca. Still on his feet. Gets across midfield and into the Brighton Lions territory. Now, DeLuca was going to take a shot by Jimmy Little at about midfield. He cut back inside, avoided Little, then got by another defender and was able to get it into the Brighton Lions territory even farther on another Wolverines first down. The ball resting on the New Brighton 46.
Hey, Jeff, now you talk about depth. Here comes Johnny DeLuca, a little guy off the bench, about the 4th running back that you're running into the ball game. And what a move he put on the outside. It's a Little. Faked him inside and he actually earned that first down himself.
Ball comes in motion to the near side. Ross takes the call, and he'll carry the mail across the 45 down to about the 43-yard line. Pickup of 2, 2nd down and 8. And coming up off the bottom of the pile for the New Brighton Lions is Kevin Herman, the inside defensive tackle for the New Brighton Lions. Wolverines have yet to put the ball in the air.
That's right, and the inside counter that time to Joe Rock. That hasn't worked for them in the last 3 ball games, but that time he got about 3 or 4 yards. Not too bad running by Joe Rock.
Chapman, he'll take it inside the 40, down to about the 35, and thought I saw a flag, but it wasn't. The official was just throwing his marker down where Chapman's knee hit, and he is still holding that left arm. Another Wolverine first down. Chapman was able to pull his way down to about the 35-yard line of New Brighton.
I'm going to keep my eye a little bit on Billy Chapman. He's holding either his left arm or his ribs. He's holding his left arm very carefully. The Wolverines driving now. They can't afford a turnover.
Jones to the 35, the 30 on the counter, down inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line. That's the play for Jones, Kevin, and he has worked that well all year. This time he waited for the block to fill. Really, that's the type of play that he just has to wait for those blocks to develop on the outside, and then he can turn the corner.
Great speed to the outside by Kevin Jones. He came in there, took it around that left side. Nice running on the outside, and Bill Chapman took another hit on the inside. He went up inside, and 3 guys made a tackle on him. He got hurt a little bit once again, but I'll tell you, had it not been for Billy Chapman taking that hit up inside, it drew the defense, and that allowed Kevin Jones to get to the outside. And we were caught a little bit off guard because it developed so quickly, and the Lions are so stunned by that play, they're going to have to call a timeout.
And by the way, Chuck Becker was able to chase down Jones and make the stop. No score in the ball game. 5:57 remaining in the first half of play. Now this message. In this situation early in the first quarter of play, Phil, they coughed up the football. Chapman fumbled it on the New Brighton 15. They have it now on the New Brighton 18-yard line. And basically, they're in the same position they were when they coughed it up earlier.
And the scary thing that this game brings back memories of is 2 years ago, the Wolverines hosted Center, and they actually ran up and down the field. They were able to control the ball going left and right up and down the field, but they couldn't put the ball in the end zone. Penalties, turnovers at key times, that really hurt them, and in the end it cost them a ball game. They lost 3-0, and it cost them a trip to the playoffs 2 years ago. Now, the Wolverines have got to push it in when they're getting down there. Here we go.
Looking for running room is DeLuca. He'll find very little as he's rolled up at about the 18, so he'll find, matter of fact, they'll mark him at the 17, so pickup of 1 as Chuck Becker made the stop for New Brighton.
Chuck Becker, Jeff, comes up there from his end position. He stands 6'2", 215, and he comes up to make a tackle on John DeLuca, who's only 5'7", 150 or 160. and it's quite a mismatch. When DeLuca got up there, he didn't really have much chance.
2nd 9 for the Wolverines on the 17-yard line of New Brighton. Chapman straight ahead, finds some running room, gets it down to the 10. On the stop for New Brighton, coming up to make the play, defensive back Ray Rice from the safety position. Wolverines close to another first down as they spot the ball just shy of the 10-yard line of New Brighton. So about 2 yards shy, 3rd and 2. This is a big third down play for Ellwood City.
Right, and here comes Joe Roth back into the ball game. I'm not sure of it, what exactly Coach Rankin has called here, because he's got so many different plays in that arsenal that he can go with. But I think I'd either go with Chapman or Roth right now.
DeLuca in motion to the backfield. Here comes the option. Asaldo keeps it. He gets it down close to the 1-yard line. And I'll tell you what, Asaldo saw the hole, was able to tuck it, decided, thought to himself, should I pitch it to DeLuca or not? Said, no, I'll take it. Saw that hole shot, threw it off right tackle, and was able to pick up another Wolverine first down. They have a 1st and goal on about the 2-yard line of New Brighton.
Excuse me, Jeff. I can barely hear you sometimes with a crowd, but he did the absolute correct thing there, because his pitch man was being covered, and he held the ball, turned it up, and now we got 1st and goal at the 3-yard line.
Backs around the full house. Roth carries the ball. He goes into the end zone uncut. Nobody knew who had the ball. He faked it to Chapman, gave it to Roth on the counter, and the Wolverines now celebrating in the end zone. 4:25 remaining in the first half of play, and Ellwood City goes on top 6-0.
Nice play in the counter off to the left side. It was Joe Roth, the designated short yardage man, who came in there. Joe Roth was lined up on the right side, came on the counter off left tackle. The hole was wide open. One man grabbed the shoulder pad of Joe Roth, but Joe just shrugged him off, and he went in standing up off the left side. Nice blocking on the left side of the line for the Ellwood City Wolverines. During the next drive, or during the next defensive stand, we want to point out that offensive line once again for the Ellwood City Wolverines. It'll be Sean Reese to attempt the extra point. The holder will be Ketterer. Ketterer puts the ball down, and Sean Reese splits those uprights right up the middle. Wolverines are on top by the score of 7-0. 4:25 remaining in the first half of play. Now this message.
All year you wished you could. Now you can. Put yourself in the driver's seat of a 1986 AMC Renault. At a
City Wolverines have jumped ahead of the New Brighton Lions 7-0 on a 3-yard run by Joe Roth with 4:25 left in the first half. Now, Jeff, I just wanted to mention that one of the important things now as we kick off and line up to kick off to defend after that touchdown is that the Wolverines must come back and hold. If they can hold and force the New Brighton Lions to punt, that could be a big momentum twist in favor of the Wolverines.
Sean Reese set to kick it away. He kicks it left to right, and he'll send a squibbler down there. Taken by the up man. He's on the 30, finds a seam, gets it up to the 40-yard line of New Brighton. Carrying the ball for New Brighton Lions was Joe Smiley. In on the stop for the Wolverines was Robbie Gatto, along with Rich Wilson.
All right, now here we go on defense, and the Wolverines, as I said, they have 8 fresh players out there, guys who were resting that whole time the Wolverines were driving the ball downfield. The Wolverines took it all the way in. Now their defense has to hold. If they can hold for 3 consecutive plays, it could be a big momentum lift.
1st and 10 for the Wolverines. Twins come out wide to the near side. DeMarco, the sophomore, sets them down for New Brighton. Straight ahead handoff to the fullback mark. He goes nowhere and might have lost even a yard on the play. He did. We'll call it 2nd down 11. Getting up off the bottom of that pile for the Wolverines, I see Chris Cortez, the defensive tackle. And a flag is down. It might be against Ellwood City.
I think, Jeff, I might have detected a face mask or a personal foul. I'm not sure exactly which one of the two it was. But the referees came over and talked directly to Coach Rankin, and that's a bad place for a penalty like that to occur. A lot of it has to do with the emotion. They made the initial hit right at the line of scrimmage, and 2 or 3 guys then come in afterward to drive a man back, and that's where the extra effort occurs, and that's what they get penalized for oftentimes. It's going to be a big one, too, 15-yarder.
That's the kind of penalty you don't need. A 5-yarder not needed either, but is excusable. That's by mistake. 15 is supposedly intentional. So that's could be a big break for New Brighton. They have the ball now in Wolverine territory on their 46-yard line. 1st down and 10. Back out of the full house formation. Play action pass. Has his big tight end out here. He'll overthrow him almost. And it's incomplete. Hill had the ball in his hands. I thought it was going to be overthrown. Hill got that long arm out there. His left arm had a hold of it. Took a hit by Portugallo and fumbled the football on the Wolverines' 28-yard line.
I'm going to give the credit that time to Chris Ketterer, Jeff, because as you said, Hill had his left hand up there. He grabbed the ball with his left hand, and then Ketterer grabbed him and pulled the ball and stripped it away from him. But I also wonder to what extent he couldn't get that right hand to feel the ball because it's all taped up. Maxie Williams was vehement on that play. He came right out on the field.
That's what I meant to say. Ketterer, not Portugallo. Ketterer making that play. Marsh and Haddix are split as the backs for New Brighton. 2nd down 10 from the Wolverine 46. Here comes the delay to Marsh, and on the draw, he'll gain nothing, and he has to fight to get back to the line of scrimmage. Joe Roth, along with Nick Perry, making that tackle. 3rd down and 10.
And now comes a big play from the Wolverine 40-yard line where the scrimmage line is. It's 3rd down and about 10 or 11. And the Wolverines, should they hold here, could force a punt and get the ball back to end the first half and maybe go into the locker room with that 7-0 lead.
Something that worries me a little bit. We haven't seen too much of Haddix here in the second quarter of play. He hasn't carried the ball that much, so we can't let ourselves forget about him. Should I say the Wolverine defense can't forget about him. Play action pass. DeMarco lets it fly, and it'll go out of bounds. He was pressured, and I thought about that earlier today. Nick Perry and also Scotty Timmerman coming in to apply the pressure to the sophomore DeMarco. I was thinking about that today as I was writing the lineups down. I figured, the kid's a sophomore. I don't care how good he is. He's still a sophomore, and he's going to be rattled if you put some pressure on him.
Yes, and he threw that one, overthrew that one badly. And that was that nice short side blitz on the part of Nick Perry, and the Wolverines have called timeout. So let's come back with a little bit more of a discussion of what the Wolverines can do in the last 2:45 after we go back to the station for a quick timeout. Stadium, 4th down now and 11. The Brighton Lions are forced into a punting situation, and I'm sure Coach Rankin told his players, we don't want a turnover. If the ball goes into the end zone, that's fine. If they down it at the 1, we'll run the clock out. 2:45 left in the first half.
Barnes punts it away, hangs a high one up. Ketterer calls for the fair catch. He fumbles it. It's still loose, and I believe the Wolverines got it back. Oh, my. Something you don't like to see. Nick Perry signals the Wolverines got it back. We'll see what the officials say. Yes, and the quickness of Kevin Jones got it back. Ketterer had that one hit him in the chest and just flipped out and lost it.
And no sooner did the words leave my mouth that you don't want a turnover, and that's exactly what happened. I want to comment on your comment, Jeff, about Haddix not being used. One of the key things in the second half could be the fact that if the New Brighton Lions are down, they won't be able to go to their big back. They'll have to continue to put the ball up in the air.
Wolverines have about 2.5 minutes to work with. Hull comes in motion from the near side. Chapman on that quick trap gets it up across the 25 to about the 27-yard line of New Brighton. Coming up for the Lions to make the stop, Jimmy Little. Pickup of about 4, 2nd and 6, rather call it 3, 2nd and 7 for the Wolverines.
And a lot of the fans down front think that there's some late hitting going on. It's probably going on both sides. But Bill Chapman fights so continually that the referees have a hard time calling a late hit on him because he's constantly going for extra yardage.
Split backs. Jones again with that carry. The counter to the far side. This time, New Brighton stuffs it up as he gets it up to the 30-yard line. Getting up off the bottom of the pile for the New Brighton Lions. We see that making the stop is Bob DeLisio. So that'll bring up a 3rd and about 5 for the Wolverines. Pickup of just a couple for Jones. Ball resting on the Wolverine 30-yard line.
Now, since they didn't gain big yardage on those 2 plays, I would imagine the Wolverines will probably keep it on the ground inside a minute and a half left in the first half. They'll be content to go into the locker room if possible with that 7-0 lead.
Petrelli splits it out wide to the near side. Chapman hits close to the line of scrimmage. Now there's a late hit that should have been called because Chapman was clearly down. Making the stop for the New Brighton Lions was Conrad Newman. Coming up a little bit too late with that shoulder was Ray Rice.
I guess the referees don't always see it the way the fans do and the other people. Now New Brighton's going to call a timeout as the clock winds down to exactly 1 minute. They'll have a chance to put the ball up in the air a few times. Now, I know that Coach Maxie Williams, when he comes out to talk to his players, is going to say the same thing that Coach Rankin did, and that is we don't want a turnover. We don't want to fumble down here. In fact, he might even tell his players to let the punt roll dead because he could risk a turnover when they're out in the open field trying to pick up a ball. Okay, 1 minute left, and the Wolverines lead at 7-0.
Morgan to do the honors. Back to receive for New Brighton will be Tom Grissetti. Wolverines, Morgan gets a decent kickoff, and it'll rest and fall dead and be down by the Wolverines on the New Brighton 40-yard line, where they have 51 seconds to working with and a first down and 10.
Now what do you do, Jeff? It's kind of a 6 of one, half dozen of another situation. The Wolverines come in with their defensive back alignment. I see DeLuca in there, Jones, Ketterer, Portugal. They have a lot of defensive backs, so apparently they're not planning on putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They're going to be content to stay back and play very, very deep. They're lining up already 20 yards deep, so they're expecting the pass, and they're going to not allow anyone to beat them deep.
Brenner goes out wide to the far side. DeMarco sets him down in the I formation. Hill out short to the near side. Here comes the straight drop back. Try to work the sidelines with Hill. Pass ball's incomplete. Ketterer on the coverage. Second down and 10. Clock stopped with 28 seconds remaining. Just a reminder that you are listening to Ellwood City Wolverine football on the new Classic Gold 92 WFBM, Ellwood City, Newcastle.
Now with just 28 seconds left, the incomplete pass on the sideline gives DeMarco a little bit more time. The Wolverines will still have to stay back and play it deep. We'll have to also be very careful he doesn't get something intercepted, because the Wolverines, if they should get an interception, could run it back into a position where Sean Reese could kick a field goal.
DeMarco split back, wide out to the far side. Straight ahead handoff to Haddock. He's stacked up immediately at the line after a pickup about one, so he'll get the ball to the New Brighton 41-yard line. Coming up with the stop was Chris Cortez.
And once again, Roth and Richard were up there also. Now that's going to run the clock down, though. Coach Maxie Williams won't get a chance to run another play because he's out of timeout as we run out the first half.
That's the end of the first half of play. It's been a hard-fought battle so far between these two bitter rivals. Ellwood City gets into the locker room with a slim 7-0 halftime lead. We'll be back to recap tonight's first half action right after this message.
Frank Lagrada once.
Just about ready to start the second half of play. And if it's anything like the first, I hope you stick with us, because the first was sure a good one. Wolverines lead it 7-0. And they will get the football first here in the second half as New Brighton will kick it off.
Our listeners up in the Newcastle area probably are familiar with the refereeing crew, the officials for tonight's ball game, because it's Chuck Kuba with his crew out of Newcastle area. So Chuck brings his crew from Newcastle down here to do the game between the Ellwood City Wolverines and the Beaver Valley New Brighton Lions. All right, we're just about ready. The Wolverines will take the kickoff to start the second half of tonight's ball game. And we expect a very hard-fought second half, just like we saw in the first half. Settle back, relax, get your favorite cold drink and curl up beside your radio or beside your Classic Gold A channel and be ready for second half action with Jeff Hazen and yours truly, Phil Weimer.
Chapman back deep to receive. He's flanked by DeLuca and also Jay Patrick. Set to kick it off will be Hill, the wideout for the New Brighton Lions. Hill, by the way, will stress again that his right thumb is heavily taped, and that could be some of the problems with New Brighton's passing game this evening. Hill gets off a low and short kick, kicks it to 20. Chapman bumbles it around, picks it up on his own 14. He's up across the 20, hard running, and upended immediately as he gets it up across the 25, taken down on the 26-yard line. First down and 10 Wolverines. Coming up with a stop was Richie Milner for the New Brighton Lions.
All right, now the key for the Wolverines, they start their offense on the 25, 26-yard line. The key is to control that ball, no turnovers, no penalties, and get the momentum going here to start the second half of the ball game.
First and 10 for the Wolverines, ball resting on their own 26. Here comes the counter, off to Kevin Jones, takes a shot at about the 28, spins, gets across the 30 to the 31 as Brian Brenner comes up to make the stop from the cornerback spot. That'll bring up a second down, and we'll call it 6 situation for the Wolverines.
Both coaches in the locker room at halftime. I was down in the Ellwood Wolverine locker room for a moment checking out what was going on, and they were going over the blocking schemes and how to pick up the inside linebackers.
Counter the other way comes to DeLuca, makes a nice move as he gets it up close to the Wolverine 35-yard line. Will be shy of a first down by about 2 yards as Barnes makes the stop for the New Brighton Lions.
I'm surprised. I see Dave Hall going into the ball game. We're here at about 3rd down and 2. I was really expecting to see Joe Roth go into the ball game once again, but they're coming in with Dave Hall, Chapman, and it's Jones in the backfield. It's a smaller backfield for the Wolverines.
Petrelli splits it out wide to the far side. Jones is in the slot to the near side. Chapman gets the call. He carries the mill up across the 40, and he's brought down at the Wolverine 46. Pickup of about 10 on the play. Another first down for the Wolverines, and Mike Smith makes the stop.
There's a lot of booing down there, Jeff, and I'll tell you why. Number 83, Andy Hill, jumped on top of Chapman as he was down. It wasn't a late hit as much as he was trying to pull the ball out of Chapman's hands, and he was wrestling him on the ground for a good 4 or 5 seconds before the referee came over and pulled Hill off and says, look, he's down, leave the ball go.
1st and 10 for the Wolverines. Here comes the option to the near side. Asaldo keeps these up across midfield, gets it down to about the 46-yard line of New Brighton. Pickup of 8, 2nd and 2 for the Wolverines as Conrad Newman comes over to make the stop for New Brighton.
All right, and once again down below you hear a lot of noise, and that's Conrad Newman, who came in late, and he put a hit inside, and we might get a late hit down below. Let's see what the call is. That's what it is, Jeff. It was a late hit by Conrad Newman, a big kid. He's 6'4", about 210, and he jumped in there for a late hit.
Dead ball personal foul is what they will call unsportsmanlike conduct, and rather personal foul instead of unsportsmanlike conduct. Either way, you mark it off 15. That gives the Wolverines a big break, moves them down to the 31-yard line of the New Brighton Lions.
And we were talking from a Wolverine standpoint that you don't want turnovers and penalties. Coach Maxie Williams and his Lion Ball Club have to be concerned about the same thing, and that kind of penalty can really hurt you when you're down in a ball game already to a team like Ellwood City.
Look back, Chapman and Jones. Here comes the counter to Jones. Looks to get outside, finds some trouble at the New Brighton 30-yard line. No gain in the play as Jimmy Little comes up to make the stop. 10 minutes remaining in the third quarter of play. 2nd and 10 for the Wolverines. Ball on the New Brighton 31-yard line.
Now, that play didn't go that time for the Wolverines. They gained no yardage, but that's because the New Brighton Lions have diagrammed it at halftime and figured out how to defend it. So look for something, a counter by the Wolverines.
2nd and 10. Here comes the option to the near side. Pitch man to Luca. He'll take it on his own, rather on the New Brighton 33-yard line, and he'll be taken down immediately. Coming in the cornerback is Ray Wright, and he makes the stop on DeLuca. That time, DeLuca not able to use the fancy footwork to cut back inside because there was nowhere to cut.
No, the pitch came a little bit too soon that time. Brian Asaldo probably would have done better to keep the ball himself. And we have an equipment timeout on the part of Scott Timmerman. The referee's taking him off the field and saying he needs some equipment change. So we're going to see a different player in there. And the worst thing is, Jeff, right now, is that I wouldn't have been surprised if they, in its first obvious passing situation, they would have had a play called to Scotty Timmerman. Now Jeff Lidner's in his place.
3rd down, 13 for the Wolverines. Wolverines back to pass. Asaldo looks over the middle, tries to go to Chapman. He had a lot of running room. They tried to set up the fullback screen on the New Brighton 28-yard line. It falls incomplete. That'll bring up a 4th down and 13 for the Wolverines. The ball resting on the New Brighton 34-yard line. 9:10 remaining in the third quarter. Ellwood City leads it 7-0.
And Billy Chapman's only 5'7". Give Brian Asaldo a little bit of credit, though. He was very fortunate to get that ball off. He was under heavy pressure. He did get the ball off his first pass of the evening, but it was over the head of the 5'7" Chapman. Had it been down, he could have run very, very long yardage.
Morgan to punt it away. Hits on the 5. Will it roll in the end zone? Yes, it will. Wolverine player tried to down that being Nick Perry, tried to get it on about the 1, but it rolls in for the touchback. New Brighton takes over 1st down and 10 from their 20, so despite the fact that they had some a personal foul called against them, New Brighton was able to hold the Wolverine offense.
Right, and Wolverines, in that case, they were hurt by 2 consecutive stop plays in a row, and that hasn't happened all night. If you can think back, the Wolverines have never been stopped for 0 or less yardage on 2 consecutive plays thus far in a ball game. So the Lions get it back with 9 minutes left in the third quarter, and the Wolverines still ahead 7-0.
Hill splits it wide to the near side, backs out of the I formation. Marsh and Haddix. Hand off to Haddix, looking for running room inside. Tiptoes his way across the 20 up to about the New Brighton 21-yard line. Pickup of 1, and in on the stop was Joe Roth.
That time, Jeff, You saw a big target coming up through the line. That's one of the things about a 6'2" running back, is that he's not a very little target, and the Wolverines were able to tee off on him very easily, whereas Chapman's a little bit hard to find. He can hide behind people.
Again, out of the I formation, DeMarco, the sophomore, sets him down, pitch back to the far side, nowhere to go, and lots of a yard back to the original line of scrimmage. New Brighton will be on the 20. Shooting in to make the stop, Kevin Jones, also Chris Cortez in there to help make the stop for the Wolverines.
And once again, they hold Haddix, and that's what you have to do. Now look for the big pass, probably to Hill. But what DeMarco's been doing in these third down situations is when he has to put the ball up in the air, he goes to Hill with it and sort of lollipops the balloon pass up in the air and lets his big tight end or split end, in this case split end, go out and pick off the pass over top of a guy like Jones, who's out there on him now.
All the passes on Hill, by the way, have been short. About 10 yards and down or in. Here comes the pass. Hill cutting across the middle. Pass is cut by Brenner out of the backfield. He could go all the way. He took it at the 50s all the way down to the Wolverine 20, and he'll go untouched into the end zone, and immediately New Brighton is back in the ball game. Brenner went in motion to the far side, just did a simple swing pattern, Phil, took it in the flat, and New Brighton is back in this game. They're down by 1, 7-6.
And everybody around us is stunned because the Wolverines had just come out and played inspired defense on the first two plays, and all of a sudden, for the first time in this 1986 season, the Wolverines have been scored upon, and it happened very quickly. It was not a sustained drive. It was a quick play. Brenner came out of the backfield. All the attention was centered on Hill, who went down and deep. And here came Brenner. He beat his man, caught the pass, and had nobody else between he and pay dirt.
Well, Brenner has a chance to put another point on the board as he will try the extra point attempt. Very important kick. It's no good. Wolverines lead at 7-6. 7:32 remaining in this third quarter of play. Now this message.
Drinking is
Extra points are when you miss them, and especially when the game's close. Not when you're winning 20-0, but when it's close like it is now, 7-6. Wolverines lead it. A lot of time left in this game. We have 7:32 remaining in the third quarter alone as New Brighton people are taking a look at a New Brighton injured player down on the Wolverine 5-yard line.
Well, Jeff, the Wolverines were stunned on that, and the fans were shocked. Everybody was really in awe about what had gone on. But one saving factor is that the Wolverines were able to block that kick and control the lead at 7-6. That kept a little bit of momentum going back the Wolverines' way. I'm really kind of surprised that Hill, who does the kicking off and kicks it fairly deep, doesn't do the extra point kicking.
Hovansik was the injured player down. He gets up and walks off on his own power. I think possibly one of the reasons Hill doesn't do the extra point kicking, he doesn't get it high enough altitude. It might, good chance it might get blocked from the line of scrimmage. That's just, of course, speculation on my part. Hill gets the kickoff set and lets it go. Taken by DeLuca on the 20. He's up to the 30 and hit hard as he is taken down on about the Wolverine 31-yard line. Well, they will have a first down and 10. Rich Greco makes a stop for New Brighton.
Well, last time the Wolverines had the ball, they started on their own 25 and drove it down to the Brighton 25. Now, what they have to do is get that same kind of drive going, only don't stall. They've got to keep it going right on in.
About 7.5 minutes remaining in this third quarter of play. Ellwood City leads it by a slim 7-6 over New Brighton Lions. Wolverines with the first down and 10. Chapman stumbles his way up to the Wolverine 35-yard line. Pickup of about 4. We'll call it 2nd and 6. And Hovansik checks back into the ball game. He makes the stop for New Brighton.
Now, it'll be kind of interesting to see how the Wolverines react to being scored on. That was a lot of the talk around town, was that they haven't been scored on all year. It happened very quickly, suddenly for the Wolverines. How can they rebound from that now?
Jones looking for running room, and that play that worked so much for the Wolverines thus far this year and worked earlier tonight, as a matter of fact, doesn't work as Jones is taken back for a loss, and Brian Brenner shoots in to make the stop. Wolverines back to the original line of scrimmage, so a loss of 4, ball resting on their own 31.
All right, we're back to another passing situation at 3rd down and long, a 3rd down and 10. And Wolverines from their own 30-yard line now. They're going to have to put that ball up in the air. And for Brian Asauto, who has not put it up throughout the first half, it's going to be tough.
Petrelli out wide to the near side. Asauto straight ahead to Chapman. He pulls his way ahead. Not enough for a Wolverine first down. They'll have to punt it away. Chapman gets it out to about the Wolverine 39-yard line. Had to go to the Wolverine 41 as Brenner again makes the stop for New Brighton.
What Coach not Coach Cameron, but Coach Rankin was looking for was a blitz that time. They ran that quick trap up the middle, hoping to get the New Brighton Lions caught in a blitzing situation, leave nobody back there for Chapman. But instead, the Lions stayed at home, and they were equal to the task. So the Wolverines are going to have to play it on defense again.
Morgan will punt it away. Brenner back to receive. Morgan, low snap, gets off a decent kick, takes a Wolverine roll inside the New Brighton 25, and will be down on the New Brighton 22-yard line. 5:33 remaining in the third quarter of play. Ellwood City 7, New Brighton 6. Now this message.
Frank LaGrata for state representative. He'll fight for us because he's one of us. Paid for by the people to elect Frank LaGrata.
Option goes off to the Wolverine, or rather to New Brighton's Haddix. He gets it out close to a New Brighton first down as he gets it up across the New Brighton 30. On the stop is Joe Ross for the Wolverines. We have an injured Wolverine down on the field.
That was good downfield blocking on a part of New Brighton, but on that play, Haddix had moved a little bit soon. He got called for illegal procedure, so they're going to bring it back, and it'll be a 5-yard penalty against New Brighton. We're trying to pick up the injured Wolverine player down on the field right now, and to my knowledge also, Jeff, this may be the first time that the Wolverines have had the cause of calling a timeout for an injured player.
I think it's Bill Beretta who is down. 5:12 remaining in this third quarter of play. Ellwood City leads at 7-6.
The worst thing, Jeff, on that play was not the penalty for the Wolverines. They were fortunate that the Lions had got called for an illegal procedure penalty, but they allowed somebody to get outside their outside right containment area. The option went to the right side, and Haddix was able to get down that sideline. He had a good 11 yards and probably a first down. So even though there was an illegal procedure penalty, it's not a good sign for the Wolverines because the play went.
By the way, that scoring touchdown for Brenner off the pass going about 65 yards. Took a swing pass out of the backfield, and that puts them just 1 point behind the Wolverines. Brenner then tried the extra point, was partially blocked by the Wolverines. Falls short and wide to the right. The Wolverines lead it 7-6. That's where we stand here at the 5:12 mark in the third quarter. Peretta still down on the field for the Wolverines on the far sideline as he took a shot on that last play. While we have this chance with the score 7-6, Ellwood over top of New Brighton. Let's go back to the station for a message.
Exactly what they're working on Bill Peretta. He's down on the far side of the field, and the coaches and assistants there are looking over him carefully. But the one thing we have noticed in injuries this year is that they've been very, very careful with high school athletes. They're not going to move anyone. They're not going to let them get up on something that they're not sure about. So I'm sure they're going to keep him down until they've determined exactly what the problem is. 5:12 left here in the third quarter. The Wolverines lead at 7-6, and their defense is going to have to hang tough if the Wolverines hope to get the ball back and drive it down.
New Brighton defensively has come out. Peretta, by the way, will get up and come off on his own power. So that is good to see because he has played a big part defensively and on that offensive front for the Wolverines thus far this season.
He's running off the field now, so that's a good sign that he's able to run. That's a nice sign because there were physicians out there attending him, and they're not going to let him get up unless they know he's okay.
That goes to show you some of the conditioning that Coach Rankin has these ball players in.
Okay, we're just about ready to get started again. It'll be first down and 15 now as the Lions will start their drive at about their own 15-yard line. The ball on the 15-yard line.
Steve Sheeler in to take the place of Peretta for a couple of plays while Bill takes a blow. Again, they go to Haddix, tries to find his way, and he does some bowling as he gets it up past the original line of scrimmage on the 21, and it's stopped on the 23-yard line. Portugala coming up to make that stop for the Wolverines. Brings up a third down. We'll call it 9 to go for New Brighton first. They have it on their own 23-yard line.
Well, Bill Peretta came out of that defensive left side, and that's exactly where they attacked the New Brighton Lions. They came right at that new position, and Haddix was able to get it up and get that 5-yard penalty yardage right back again.
About 4.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Ellwood leads at 7-6 over New Brighton here from Helling Stadium in Ellwood City. Split back. The counter Goes off to Haddock, and he'll get it across the New Brighton 25 to the 26-yard line as Richard makes the stop, inside linebacker for the Wolverines. He and Patrick, the linebackers. Third down. About 4 to go for a New Brighton first.
And the Wolverines got caught in a little bit of their own medicine there. It was a quick trap inside, and we're going to be at third down in about 4. Scoreboard has 3. That looks a little bit more like 4. Third down. And it's kind of a tough situation for the Wolverines to call on defense. Are they going to pass it or go to Big Haddocks with it?
Wide out to the near side, pitch back to Haddock. Haddock looking for room. He won't get the first as he's upended at the 30-yard line. Coming in to make the stop is Kevin Jones. And he went right for the ankles of Haddock. That's what you have to do with the big back. And he took him down at the 31-yard line is where the officials spot it. Fourth and about 1 for the first. New Brighton will have to punt it away.
Just a great defensive play over there on the option. That's the same play that went for 12 yards a little bit earlier on the illegal procedure call. Sean Reese, who was in during that play, comes out in favor of Jay Patrick. And Kevin Jones went right, like you said, to the ankles. And he was able to bring down the big kid Haddocks.
Portugala, Ketterer back to receive. Barnes set to kick it away from his 15. Gets off a nice one. Hangs and turns over. Portugallo calls for the fair catch on the Wolverines 34-yard line, where they will take over first down and 10.
Paul looks like he might have hurt himself going after that fair catch. He looks like he might have pulled something as he went after the ball. But the Wolverines will get the ball right back again, now on their 35-yard line to start another drive. It's their third possession here in the second half. They lead at 7-6, but they're still a little bit stunned, I think, from that quick play, the quick scoring pass to Brenner.
Now is when you don't want a turnover at this point in the ball game. Speaking for either team. Quick count goes to Asaldo, and I don't think anybody knew what was going on, including the Wolverines offense.
Well, that was a quick play figured out there between New Power and Asaldo. That's a no-sound call to hopefully get the defense before they can set up and call their defensive alignment signals. All that Brian Asaldo has to do is to go up there and tap Mike Newpower. He's able to tap him underneath the center and go right up in front with the ball, and that's what he did for a gain of 5 yards.
Got 5, 2nd and 5. Paul in motion to the near side, handoff to Chapman on the trap. Chapman fights his way ahead for another Wolverine first down as they get the ball to the Wolverine 45. And New Brighton coming up to make the stop, Jimmy Little for the New Brighton Lions. 1st and 10 for the Wolverines. 2.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Okay, excuse me. I'm going to go back to that previous play because that is something you talk about at halftime. Whenever the linebackers are playing games in there and they're trying to set up in different gaps and so on, you can go up and call something very quickly and just run it off yourself, and that's what Brian Asaldo did, and now Chapman followed it up with a nice run.
Asaldo again goes to Chapman. Chapman bowling his way up close to the Wolverine 49-yard line. Tom Grossetti with the stop for New Brighton. They'll give Chapman a pickup of about 3 in the play. We'll call it 2nd and 7 for another Wolverine first.
But when the Wolverines are able to get 4 yards on first down, and they get 4 yards again on second down, that means their offense is working because that puts them in third and short situation all the time, and that's the way they want to be.
Under 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Here comes the option. DeLuca is the pitch man. Asaldo keeps it. He fumbles the football. It's still loose. And we don't know who has it. I believe DeLuca was able to scoop it on about the 49-yard line.
I think John was under there. There were 3 New Brighton players there, but Johnny DeLuca had the ball luckily bounced in his direction. He was the only Wolverine out there, and it rolled back right toward him. So luckily for the Wolverines, the ball rolled their way.
Jimmy Little made the hit on Asaldo, and Asaldo is shaken up on the play. He'll have to come out. Ketterer will have to step in as quarterback.
All right, and as we said at halftime, the Wolverines do not lose much with Chris Ketterer coming in there. He's an experienced quarterback. It's not like somebody new coming off the bench. So the New Brighton Lions are not going to benefit from the fact that they're going to get a new kid stepping under center. It's going to be a kid who's experienced, and he can run that option, and he knows what he's doing in the offense. There's no doubt about it. He'll go in there and take control.
He's holding his shoulder. And that's something you don't like to see at all, especially when he has that left shoulder dipped down. Third down. 4 yards to go for a Wolverine first. DeLuca recovering that fumble by quarterback Asaldo. Ketterer in a quarterback. Ball on the 49-yard line of New Brighton. Ketterer roll out to the far side. Ketterer looking for room. He has nowhere to go, and he slammed hard to the turf on the Wolverine 46-yard line. He took a shot. Conrad Newman coming in to make the stop.
Last week, Jeff, that was the same play that the Wolverines ran with Chris Ketter when he came in the ball game. He ran around the left side and all the way down into the end zone against Mars for a touchdown. This time, the New Brighton Lions were equal to the task. They came up and they hit him in the backfield for about a 4-yard loss.
Morgan is set to punt it away, and they continue to look at Asaldo on the sideline. Morgan gets off a nice punt. Taken by the up man, Brenner, on the 20. He's up to the 25, the 30, has some running room. Cuts back inside, hit at the 40-yard line, and brought down by the Wolverines. Had a fumble on the play, but they say it's New Brighton's ball. We'll wait and see. While they check on that, Evan Westland made the stop for the Wolverines.
He was hit very hard. I believe it was Brenner. He was hit very, very hard, and yes, he is still down. And he coughed up the ball, but I think the referee said that the ground caused the penalty.
26 seconds left in the third quarter of play.
Excuse me, I think I said the ground caused the penalty. I meant the ground caused the fumble.
Wolverines lead at 7-6. Now this message. Is helped off the field. New Brighton has the ball in good field position on their own 41-yard line. First down and 10. Backs are out of the I formation. Wide out to the near side and far side. Pitch back to Haddock. Looking for room. Nowhere to go. Taken down at the 40. A loss of 1. And coming in to make the stop, Joe Roth. Also in there for the Wolverines, Jay Patrick. So they'll give him a loss of about 1 in the play, bringing up 2nd and 11 from the 40.
The Wolverines that time had the offensive set of the Lions figured out, and they diagnosed that they were inside just as the big kid Haddock took the pitch. He was hit and met by Roth and then finished off by Patrick, and that's the way we'll end the third quarter with the Wolverines ahead 7-6. So we'll come back with fourth and final quarter action right after this timeout.
We enter the final quarter of play. If you're a Wolverine fan, it's too close for comfort. On the other hand, if you're a New Brighton Lion fan, you have your fingers crossed, hoping they can come back and win this ball game. Pitch back to Haddock, the far side. Kevin Jones trips him up in the backfield, and he'll pick up 1, get it to the original line of scrimmage.
Kevin Jones that time came up once again. Half of the credit has to go to the man who got the quarterback because he was forced to pitch that ball very early, and I didn't see who was up there. Maybe you did, but Kevin Jones went after the feet once again of Haddock, and he was able to do it.
Peretta is back in the ball game for the Wolverines. Now he'll come right back out.
It was Peretta who hit the quarterback that forced that quick pitch. Now we go third and long, third and about 12 or 13, and it's going to be the pass defense again.
Brenner out wide to the near side. They have been using him as a wide out instead of a slot man most of the time. Here comes the play. The halfback option pass could be picked off by Jones. It is on the Wolverine 25-yard line, and that pass simply overthrown by Haddock.
Haddock that time just threw the ball up for grabs, Jeff. He put it up long, hoping that Brenner could go down there and do something with it. Well, Brenner was being watched by John DeLuca right upfield, and Kevin Jones, who was playing free safety downfield, had plenty of time to come down and just call. He could have called for a fair catch. And Kevin Jones is down. He's hurt on the field a little bit. And I'll tell you what, Jeff, the guy who hurt him was his own player who came over and dove on him, congratulating him. He got up, though, and he's back in the huddle. All right, the Wolverines get it back with the 11:08 mark.
That's play right there. You could read it all the way, and I'm sure Kevin Jones was able to do the same because as soon as Haddock got the pitch back, he stopped immediately and pulled up. He didn't even act as though he was going to carry the ball.
Chuck Cuba, the referee, stepped over and said you have to take Kevin Jones out because the coach stepped on the field to look at Kevin, which means he must come out for one play. Kevin got up and ran back to the huddle, and the referees were quick to intervene and say he must come out for one play.
Ketterer still in at quarterback. Asaldo, of course, going down with that injury, and he seems to be okay and ready to come back in if needed. He is standing on the sideline. Hall goes in motion. Straight ahead off to Chapman. He hurdles his way across the Wolverine 25, gets it out to about the 27-yard line before he stopped and hit hard by Jimmy Little. Pickup of a couple. 2nd down and 8 for a Wolverine first down. 10:40 and running remaining in the fourth and final quarter of this ball game. Wolverines lead at 7-6. Kevin Jones just coming up with that big interception, though, to give the Wolverines the ball in their own territory.
And, Jeff, I was just going to say, you watch this Little defensive back for New Brighton because he ball hawks a lot. When he tackles, he goes right after that ball all the time.
Again, they run the trap, going to Chapman, this time off right guard, and Bill will get his way up to about the Wolverine 30-yard line as Tom Stillwell makes the stop for the New Brighton Lions.
It looks
Look him a pickup of a couple. That'll bring up a 3rd and 5.
Excuse me, I'm not paying attention as much as I should. I'm getting a little bit into the ball game here. 10 minutes left. It looked as though the Wolverines went unbalanced that time with an unbalanced line to the left side. I'm not sure that Coach Rankin uses that unbalanced line, but we're going to keep our eyes open and see if that was true or not. It's a kind of a passing situation, though, for Ketterer now.
Zimmerman lines up quite tight to the near side. Petrelli out wide to the far side. Here comes the option. Ketterer keeps it, has some running room across the Wolverine 35 and gets it out to the 40-yard line. Another Wolverine first down as Bill DeLisio makes the stop, and he actually threw him ahead farther and gave him the first down when he made that stop.
Yeah, they grabbed Ketterer. Ketterer had a full head of steam. DeLisio caught him from behind, was able to spin him and throw him down. And as you said, Jeff, he threw him forward. It looked as though Ketterer might have already had the first down, but he did throw him ahead for an extra 3 or 4 yards. On plays like that, though, you watch to make sure that you don't get stripped of the ball. The Wolverines are unbalanced now.
Roth is in the slot. They're unbalanced left. Here comes the handoff to Roth. He's at the 40, hit hard, and goes up to about the Wolverine 41. So they'll give him a pickup of just 1, 2nd down and 9 as Brian Brenner comes up to make that stop here on the near side.
All right, now Coach Rankin has shown the scouts here a little bit different wrinkle. He's gone unbalanced twice in this half now, and for those of you who are not familiar with that, they put more players to one side of the ball than the other, and that's kind of an unusual situation for defenses if they're not used to looking at it, and the Wolverines showed it that time. This time it looks like they're unbalanced. No, they're regular now.
Roth in the slot to the far side. Chapman takes it straight ahead. He bowls his rep across the 45 to the Wolverine 47-yard line. Close to another Wolverine first down, but short. Bill DeLisio making the stop, along with Jimmy Little.
It looks like an injured player, and it might be Bill Chapman who's down because he was hurt a little bit earlier in a ball game. He might be grabbing that arm again. No, it looks like they're working on cramps. What it looks like they have right now is a cramp. The way they're working on him, it looks like might be his right leg has cramped up.
Cramps in both legs from what it looks like.
Yeah, that's a painful thing, but the nice thing is that it's not a real serious thing. He can come out and he'll recuperate from that very quickly. It goes away almost as fast as it comes on.
8:36 remaining in this ball game. Wolverines lead at 7-6. Now this message. That's what it is that we speculated it was. Cramps. Got up, jogged a couple times, and went right back to the ground because he has those cramps again building up. Ionelli will come in, by the way, to take the place of Chapman until he's able to remedy that situation with the cramping in his leg.
Jeff, I caught a change there. Ionelli did go in, but he came right back out again in favor of Jay Patrick, who went in and fullback. Now that gives us an interesting play call here. 3rd and 3, and you don't have your big runner in the ball game. What are you going to do with the ball? Kevin Jones is not in there. I would look for Roth for that option with Ketterer.
Paul goes in motion, and Wolverines will be called for motion.
Well, that's going to pretty well dictate what's going to happen now. It's going to, instead of 3rd and 3 with an option play, it looks as though it's going to be 3rd and 8, and they're going to probably have to put the ball up in the air because Chapman won't be in the ball game. I see Billy running on the sideline. He looks like he's pretty well back to health again. He could go back in there, and I think Coach Rankin might like to have him in there.
Ritzer, by the way, the man jumping up front offensively for the Wolverines. Chapman will come back into the ball game. 8.5 minutes remaining in tonight's matchup, and it's been a good one. 7-6, Ellwood City leads it. Lots of time left, though. Chapman back in.
I'm going to be keeping my eye.
Checks out.
Okay, excuse me, Jeff. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on Scotty Timmerman because I've been looking for him the whole ball game. This might be a time to go to him or Petrelli.
He lines up tight to the near side. Play action pass. Ketterer has a man open down there, and Timmerman passes, tipped away, and good defensive play. I believe that was Brenner. Yes, it was. And he had a little bit more speed than Scotty. Was able to tip that ball down at the New Brighton 30-yard line. It falls incomplete.
I was standing here in the booth, Jeff, jumping up for him because you heard people in the background yelling right away, he's open, because Scotty was open right off the line of scrimmage. But Ketterer was still carrying out his fakes in the backfield and didn't get a chance to pull up and throw the ball until the defense had a chance to recover and get back into the ball game. So the Wolverines are going to have to give it right back again.
Brenner and Grissetti back to receive the kick by Morgan. Grissetti calls for a fair catch, and he'll down it on the 34-yard line of New Brighton. They take over first down and 10.
Well, you don't like to do this. It reminds me too much of the Steelers of previous years, Jeff. The close ball games, it seemed as though they continually left it up to the defense, and the Wolverines, once again, are going to have to leave it in the hands of their defense. And this kid Haddix, you don't know how long you can keep him under control. And the big kid Hill, you don't know how long you can keep him from catching a long ball.
Brenner comes out wide to the near side. As I mentioned early in the third quarter, they've been using Brenner more out of the wideout position. He and Hill, one to the near side, one to the far side instead of the slot like they did in the first half. And here comes the reverse. Brenner looking for room on his own 28. Up across the 30, and he gets it up to the 35-yard line. So they'll give him a pickup of about a yard in the play as Jay Patrick comes over to make the stop for the Wolverines. That'll bring up a second down and about 9 to go for a New Brighton first. Ball resting on their own 31.
The Wolverines that time stayed at home. They were not fooled by the reverse. The ball went coming around the right to Haddix. He gave it back to Brenner going back to the left side, but the entire right defensive side, or the offensive left side of the Wolverines, stayed at home. Jones was there, Roth was there, the whole right side was there. They were able to hold him to a 2-yard gain because he was able to turn it back inside. So I'd look for Haddix once again.
Backs go out of the eye again, 2 wideouts, one to the near side, one to the far side. Pitch back to Haddix. Haddix again with that option pass. Oh my. I'll tell you what, if you're an Ellwood City fan, you're glad he dropped that. Portugallo was beat on the Wolverine 35-yard line, and the wide receiver, Jay Hill, just couldn't hang on to it.
I'll tell you, Jeff, there's a lot of Wolverines shaking each other's hands that time, but I think more than anything else, they should be praying and thanking somebody else for the fact that he dropped that ball, because it was not a Wolverine defender that caused that. It was just the fact that Andy Hill dropped the ball. It was right in his hands, and the Wolverines should have known that was coming. Brenner threw that ball way up for grabs, way up in the air. Excuse me, it wasn't Brenner. That was Haddix that threw it up on that halfback pass again. And look for another third down pass.
The run out of the I formation. Brenner this time does line up in the slot to the near side. Hill is out wide to the near side. Play action pass. DeMarco looked almost picked off and almost caught at the same time. Now, had that been picked off by Nick Perry at the New Brighton 40, he would have had clear sailing to the end zone from that point because there was no one to touch him on the sideline. Intended receiver was Brenner. That's the same pass that went for a touchdown earlier in tonight's ballgame, only this time to the Wolverines' defensive right side.
Yeah, what he did that time, he rolled to his right, did DeMarco, rolled to his right and tried to go back across the green to the left side. Throwing across field like that gives the defense time to recover. Nick Perry nearly could have had a 25, 30-yard pass interception for a touchdown.
Beretta, by the way, putting pressure, and then punt is blocked by Patrick. Barnes tries to punt it. Patrick comes in and blocks it. Barnes saw Patrick from nowhere. Rather, should I say, let me get my words right. Patrick came in from nowhere. Barnes didn't even see him. He blocks that punt, and Beretta recovers the fumble for the Wolverines after the block punt. Wolverines take over first down and 10 with the ball inside the 20-yard line on the 17 of the New Brighton Lions.
All right, if we're looking for a turning point in the ball game, Jeff, that could be it. The block punt by Jay Patrick, and you kicked him out at halftime, Jeff. You said Jay Patrick was playing a great game. He got in there, blocked that punt, and the Wolverines have the ball, and they're going to go in from, let's see, they're going to be going from about the 15-yard line, Jeff.
Ketterer still the quarterback. Hands off to Mickey Jones on the counter dive, and he'll take it down inside the 15 to about the 10. Good blocking up front, and let's credit that the Wolverine offensive front. Jimmy Little coming up with the stop. Pickup of about 8, 2nd and 2 for the Wolverines. Ball resting on the 10, just shy of the 10 of New Brighton.
Quickly, it was New Power, Richard, DeCarry, and Beretta with Maneski up front. The interior lineman for the Wolverines, opening that hole up for Kevin Jones. And the Wolverines are now knocking at the door again.
Chapman and Hall split back. Jones in the slot to the far side. Everybody else is tight. Jones comes in motion. He'll take the hit off and he'll be hit hard in the backfield. I'll tell you, New Brighton's had their backs to the wall a few times tonight, but they haven't given up defensively as Conrad Newman shot the gap to make the stop. That'll be a loss of about 6 yards. So that'll bring up a third down and 8.
But, Jeff, you know, you can only run so many times before they're going to start sending everybody at you. Everybody in the field and the stands knew that the Wolverines were going to run that time. Now the Wolverines have a chance because they have a chance to throw the ball, and they can put a little bit of pressure on the Lion defenders with Chris Ketterer.
Split back, play action pass. Ketterer rolls to the near side, has a man open, hits Chapman at the 10. He's upended at the 5, took a shot, and he's kind of shaken up. He took a shot. Brian Brenner came up to make a stick. And when he did that, Chapman was airborne and landed on his head at about the 5-yard line of New Brighton.
But it's good enough, Jeff, for a first down. He went head over heels at the 5-yard line, hit hard and hit low, but he held on to the ball and went over for a first down, so it'll be first down at the 8-yard line. They mark it at the 8, first and goal, Jeff.
And he's limping a little bit, but he stays in the ball game. First and goal, back to split. Nick Perry is back there, and we have a little bit of a scuffle. Timmerman involved with New Brighton's Conrad Newman. I think those two guys have been exchanging words all evening. We'll see who the penalty goes against. It could be neutral and go against both of them.
I think maybe that Scotty Timmerman jumped and he went through with a play. Yeah, that's the way they call it. And when he jumped off, the defender over there, Conrad, grabbed him, and they kind of ended up in a tussle on the ground. That's the kind of thing that maybe you would have expected a little bit earlier when Ketterer came into the ball game, because as everybody tells you, when a new quarterback comes in, it's a different sound and a different cadence back there, and sometimes people will jump. But it happened now at a very inopportune time for the Wolverines.
First and goal from the New Brighton 9 now instead of the 5. Try to go inside. Joe Ross carrying the ball, and he'll get it down close to about the 5-yard line. So give him a pickup of about 3. Jimmy Little coming up to make the stop for New Brighton.
Now, Jeff, I'm telling you, we're at 4.5 minutes left in the ball game. The Wolverines are on the left half hash mark. And what I would do, and I'm sure Coach Rankin's thinking about this also, is he's going to come back to the right side to at least get the ball in the center of the field for a possible field goal should they not be able to get a first down. And Nick Perry comes in the ball game also.
Again, Perry and Chapman the back. Counter play is carried to Jay Patrick, I believe, or is that Joe Roth carrying the ball? That'll be Joe Roth, and he'll pick up about a yard, getting it inside the 5 to about the 4-yard line. So that will bring up third and goal from the 4 as Bob Delicio makes the stop.
I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Rankin calls a timeout. He's watching the clock, and they might wait until the last possible second to call a timeout. I'm sure that's what he's doing. He's waiting, and he's going to call timeout just before the penalty would have been called. A very smart, heady play on the coaching staff's part. They let that clock run down, and the fans were getting a little bit antsy down here, but I could see Coach Rankin. He was just watching the clock to make sure that he let a little bit of time go off before he called that timeout, because if the Wolverines do score, they don't want very much time left on that clock.
3:36 remaining in the ball game. Wolverines lead 7-6. Now this message.
Fighting ball game, Jeff. 3:36 left.
The way the Wolverines got to the position they are in now, Jay Patrick blocked the punt by Barnes for New Brighton on about the New Brighton 25-yard line. Barnes didn't even see him coming. Patrick came close a couple other times tonight. He got this one good, hit him directly in the face mask. Wolverines' Bill Peretta recovered. And they have it now, third and goal from the 4-yard line of New Brighton. Ketterer is the quarterback. Backs are split, motion man to the near side. Here comes the opposite. Pitch back to Ross. He fumbles the football. It's still loose. I believe New Brighton recovered. It's out of bounds. From where my vantage point is and from what the official has indicated, it went out of bounds. And if that is the case, the Wolverines regain control of it.
Well, we're just waiting for the official's call now. They're pushing the players away to see what the call is. Let's see what it is.
Fourth down.
Fourth down. Okay, that means that the ball rolled out of bounds before the Wolverines, or before the Lions could recover. And now the pressure goes on the shoulders of Sean Reese. And it's tough for him because he hasn't been playing. He's been on the sidelines. He's been hurt. He hasn't played the whole game. And he has the pressure on him right now to split those uprights to put the Wolverines ahead. A bigger lead. They lead at 7-6 with 3:27 left in the ball game. Sean Reese will be attempting the field goal with Chris Ketterer holding.
This will be about 21-yard field goal attempt. There's a snap. Kick is up. I don't believe it's good. It's not. It was long enough, but it's wide to the left. Wolverines hold on to that lead, 7-6. New Brighton takes over.
Well, Jeff, I'll tell you, the only thing that surprised me there is that they went to their left, to the near side of the field. I really sort of expected Coach Rankin to come back to the middle of the field with a play that, just in case they weren't able to score, that they would be set up in the middle of the uprights for a field goal as they had to go for.
Ross got a bad pitch from Ketter on that because Ketter took a shot, and just as he was getting hit, he turned and tried to get rid of the ball to Ross. It hit him at about his ankles. Had Joe had the pitch up around his belly, he would have been able to skate right into the end zone because no one even would have hit him until he reached about the 1, and I believe by that point Joe would have been able to bowl him over and get in for the touchdown.
All right, the pressure back on the Wolverine defense again. 3.5 left in the ball game, and here we go. We're going to wind it down.
DeMarco, the quarterback, sets him down in the I formation. Look for him to pass. Play action pass. DeMarco, the sophomore. Looks, hits his man, the tight end, right over the middle, and he'll pick up a New Brighton first down, get it out to the 39-yard line. Kevin Jones with the coverage for the Wolverines. So that'll pick up of about close to 20 yards on that play as he hits his tight end just going across the middle on a slant.
All right, the clock will be running, and it just starts now after the chains have been set. And look for the New Brighton Ball Club to go to the air again. And now what's the Wolverines going to do? What's those linebackers? Will they be blitzing and trying to get pressure on DeMarco, or are they going to drop back in pass coverage? We'll be watching it from the booth.
Hill out wide to the near side. Brenner in the slot to the far side. Backs are in the I formation. Brenner comes in motion to the near side. DeMarco long count. Play action pass. Looks downfield, wobbly pass taken by Hill, cuts back inside, breaking tackles. Hill with some running room, and he's going to go all the way. He's at the Wolverine 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown Hill, and the Wolverines missed tackles, tried to arm tackle, and they are down by the score of 12-7 at this point in time, and Jay Hill is mobbed, Andy Hill rather, mobbed in that end zone.
I'll tell you, Jeff, it was an obvious completed pass, but the problem was there were 3 missed tackles after he caught the ball. That's what surprised us here in the booth. Everybody in the stands thought, well, they completed that pass, and Wolverines are going to have to drop back, but they never expected Hill to recover from that defense and run the whole way with the ball. They're shocked once again, and we're shocked up here in the booth because there were 3 missed tackles after the completed pass. New Brighton has to call timeout, though, with 2:38 because they had too many players out there on the field, and they were running the risk of a penalty.
New Brighton leads at 12-7, 2:38 remaining in this game. Now this message, Brighton probably will go for 2 at this point.
And I would look for the big kid again, Hill. They could just lob something up in the air to him out here on Kevin Jones because he's 6'2".
Split back, play action. Brenner's ball's incomplete as Brenner dives for it in the end zone, and he came out of the slot position. Wolverines are down by the score of 12-7, 2:38 remaining in this ball game. Now this message.
Attention, churches, schools, businesses, industry, and homeowners. Would you like to...
Hill going about 61 yards. New Brighton leads at 12-7. Wolverines still have a little bit of time to work with, 2:38. You know they have to put it in the air now.
The discouraging thing is, Jeff, that the guys have actually won the statistical battle once again, have the Wolverines. They've controlled the ball game, but they've been beaten on 2 big breakaway plays.
Hill has it set for a swivel kick, has the ball laying flat on its side. Here we go. Kicking from left to right, sends it up high and wobbly. Taken by the up man, Roth at the 30. Still turning, gets away up across the 35 to about the Wolverine 37-yard line. First down and 10. They have 2:35 to work with. They're down 12-7 to the Brighton Lions.
Now, the only thing, Jeff, about the offense of the Wolverines is that it's a methodical offense that they've been running all year. It's not the kind of offense that can get you a lot of yardage very fast. They run the ball and they run the clock. But once they get behind, it's a little bit tougher for them. But they do have Ketterer in there who can throw the ball also.
Petrelli comes out wide to the near side. Jones is in the slot. Backs are split. Chapman and Hall. Play action pass. Ketterer to the near side. Hits Petrelli. And he goes out of bounds at the Wolverine 46-yard line. Shy of a first down by about a yard. That'll bring up 2nd and 1. Clock is stopped with 2:13 remaining.
And I'd be looking for New Brighton, the players. That was a gain of about 8 yards, 7 yards maybe. They'll probably be blitzing. Excuse me, that's 9 yards that they marked that. They'll probably be blitzing and putting a lot of pressure on the junior quarterback, Ketterer, and so he's under the gun right now.
Everybody lines up tight except for Petrelli, who's out wide to the near side. Ketterer bootleg to the far side of the field. He's a lefty. Looks downfield, hits his man at the New Brighton 40-yard line, and he takes it down. Hall to the New Brighton 20-yard line, or rather 35-yard line of New Brighton. Coming up with a stop is Jimmy Little for the New Brighton Lions. So another first down for the Wolverines, and I'll tell you what, they're moving that football.
And Ketterer just gunned that ball in there. That was a nice throw between two defenders. He hit his man right in the numbers. There was no way that ball could be dropped because it was drilled right in there. And the Wolverines are going to have to do it inside 2 minutes now. They're going to have to put a score on the board, a touchdown now, because a field goal doesn't mean anything.
Now's a good time for one of those out patterns near the sidelines to get it out of bounds. Straight ahead hit off Chapman. He's got some running room as he gets it inside the 30 down to about the 25. New Brighton didn't expect that at all as Chapman gets another Wolverine first down, and that will stop the clock to move the sticks.
That's the kind of play that can break loose for you sometimes. 1 minute and 41 seconds left in tonight's ball game. It can break it loose because you can catch those linebackers blitzing and trying to get pressure on Ketterer, and the running room will open up for Chapman. We're down to about a minute and a half left in a ball game. We're cutting it right down to the wire, Jeff.
Petrelli out wide to the far side. Backs are split. Hall and Chapman. Long count, Ketterer. Here comes the bootleg to the near side. Peretta out front to block. He throws it, and it falls incomplete. Hit off a Chapman face mask, and a lot of the Wolverine fans want interference, but I don't believe that was the call, as Tom Grissetti was on the coverage.
Well, you watch football enough times, everybody knows now about the interference and the defensive pass interference that can be called. It was close, but I don't know whether it deserved a call because Ketterer kind of put the ball up in the air, and both players have a right to go after it. So we're down at 1:21. New Brighton leads at 12-7. The Wolverines on the New Brighton about 25 to 24-yard line.
Chapman checks out. Ross is in the backfield. He and Jones are split. Pitch back to Ross. Here comes the halfback option pass. Has his man Zimmerman. He catches it on the 2-yard line. Oh, my. Scotty Zimmerman with an over-the-head catch. Had to look straight up behind him. He made the catch, and the Wolverines have a first and goal on the 2-yard line of New Brighton.
What a catch by Scotty Zimmerman. That ball was thrown behind Scott, but it was up in the air. Scotty caught it over his shoulder, and ladies and gentlemen, the Wolverines are taking time out. But if you get a chance to see a replay of this ball game, at the 1:15 mark left in a ball game, Scotty Zimmerman over his right shoulder, he looked like an outfielder going with his back to the infield, pulled that ball down. It was unbelievable. First and goal at the 3-yard line with 1:15 left.
And give credit to Tom Grissetti because he had the coverage all the way. And matter of fact, Grissetti, I believe, from our vantage point, Phil, got a hand on that to tip it. But Scotty kept good concentration, was able to bring it down, and they placed the ball, as you said, on the 3-yard line of New Brighton. A lot of time left, 1:15, but they don't need a turnover at this point in time.
First and goal at the 3-yard line, and the scorekeeper just downed it to the 2. But it's probably closer to the 3-yard line. Stay with us on this one, folks. Stay with us down the wire. The Wolverines have the momentum right now. If they can punch this one in, yeah, this crowd will absolutely go wild. We'll just let the crowd decide for you what happens, and let's keep our fingers crossed, those of us here on the home side of the field, as the Wolverines break out of Jeff Hayes and call it for us.
Backs are split, first and goal from the 3. Straight ahead up Chapman. Balls his way, and touchdown! Wolverines! They're going to win this ball game. A minute, 11 seconds left in the game. Wolverines go on top. 13-12 on the dive from 3 yards out to Billy Chapman, and they earned it, Phil Weimer, on this drive.
This is just fantastic football, Jeff. Every person who is at this ball game has seen one of the best high school football games that I have ever seen at Helling Stadium. The people who are here, the people with your headphone radios on, you have just heard and watched one of the best high school football games ever. We're 1 minute and 11 seconds left. Remember, though, New Brighton scored in less than 1 minute when they had the ball before.
Sean Reese set to kick it for the extra point. It's important. It's good. Wolverines go on top by the score of 14-12 with 1:11 left in this ball game.
Barely having voices to begin with. Now everybody on the home side of the field is on it. They're all on their feet. I'm looking down below. Everybody's on their feet. Everybody's clapping because momentum has shifted more in the last 1 minute than it has in the whole first 40 minutes.
Have to keep it up for this minute 11 seconds they have remaining. Wolverines earned that drive, and it was all capped off by A touchdown run of 3 yards by
That was Bill Chapman. And I'll tell you, I was watching down below. Coach Rankin called all the kickoff team over to him during that extra point. He was giving them a lecture on the sideline, talking to them. Now he has the defense together. He's got the defense together. They're going to go over their strategy right now. And honestly, to gosh, what I would do is that I would be blitzing everybody, Jeff. I'm so sick of seeing nickel defenses where you let the guys throw the ball long with a hope of stopping them. All right, Sean Reese to kick it off.
Reese lets off a squibbler taken by the up man. Brenner, he's up to the 30-yard, defended. He's hit hard by the Wolverines, and coming up to make the stop is Jeff Lindner. Lindner, the reserve tight end, a junior standing about 6'3", 210. Also Rich Wilson in there to make that stop.
Yeah, I was looking down there myself. I think that was Rich Wilson, and I don't want to miss the credit because he actually annihilated Brenner. He hit him right in the waist, and now you hear the chant from the home stands right now. Defense.
Under a minute left in this ball game. Wolverines lead it 14-12. It's been a nail-biter the whole way. DeMarco back to pass, roll out to the far side. Lets one fly to center field, picked up. Oh, no. Ball's incomplete. Kevin Jones had it in his hands and dropped it on the Wolverine 46-yard line. Phil, I think he started to run with that before he got it.
Kevin reached up with his hands, and any receiver, any person who knows about receiving balls, when you have a lot of time and the ball is well up in the air, cradle it into your shoulders. You reach out and let that ball cradle in. He reached out with his fingertips and tried to grab it with his hands, and it kind of went off his hands. The Wolverines do have their deep secondary. 44 seconds left. If you just tuned in on the A channel, you've missed a whale of a ball game. The Wolverines lead at 14-12.
You've missed probably one of the best games you'll have heard in a couple of years. Brenner out wide to the near side. Hill to the far side again. DeMarco rollout pass. Has time. Hits his man Hill. Hill looking to cut back inside. He's covered this time by the Wolverines. After a pickup of a first down, clock continues to run as Hill is stopped by Johnny DeLuca on the New Brighton 45-yard line.
Now, Hill cost his team a timeout there, Jeff. He caught that ball right on the 45-yard line, as you said, but he had an opportunity to step out of bounds after he caught the ball, and instead he decided to cut back inside, and he has just cost his team probably their last timeout. I can remember another timeout that they had to take to try to decide what they were going to do to get their two-point play a little bit ago. There's 35 seconds left. Everybody's going to want to know that. 35 seconds left, and the Wolverines lead at 14-12. It's very tough to recap what happened in about this last minute and a half of action. I can look down here and see the Pittsburgh reporters that are here. I think they've been impressed, and I've been very impressed with the New Brighton Lions. We can't underestimate this team. They're going to be a force in the MAC conference this year.
They're a very tough ball club, very well-disciplined ball club. They had their backs to the wall quite a few times, and they have been battling it tooth and nail with the Wolverines all evening. Wolverines led it by 7-0 at halftime. New Brighton fought back. It was 7-6. DeMarco back to pass, in trouble, lets it fly, picked off by the Wolverines on the Wolverines 42-yard line, and coming up with the interception, Paul Portugalis steps up to make that grab and picks it off for the Wolverines. Intended receiver was Andy Hill.
And that should do it. That'll wind down the clock for the Wolverines. And I think I'm looking right now at Ketterer. He's asking what to do, but Coach Rankin says, let's call timeout and we'll talk over what to do.
26 seconds remaining in this ball game. Wolverines lead it 14-12. Now this messes all night because this is one of the best games I have personally seen for quite some time. I've only been on this earth for 25 years, and I don't even know if I've seen one as good as this one. Possibly a few years ago when Ellwood played Beaver here and held on to beat them 16-14. I think that's the last time I've seen a game as exciting as this. Wolverines with just 26 seconds left. Ketterer takes the ball, and he'll just fall down and be protected by that offensive front.
That's the last timeout now being taken by New Brighton. We know that that's their last one because they could only have 3, and they've already taken 2 that we know of. With 20 seconds left, we'll try to wind things down and calm down a little bit as we head toward the end of the ball game. The Wolverines lead it 14-12. And I'm going, during the post-game wrap-up, Jeff, I want to mention a little talk that I had with Coach Rankin today. I went down and we were talking today, just sitting around gabbing about maybe some of the small talk before a ball game. And I want to elaborate on that in our post-game show. Right now, 20 seconds left, and Chris Ketterer, quarterback, has directed his team in the second half to a great comeback, throwing a couple of nice passes. Joe Roth, a key pass, and I think Scotty Timmerman, I would say between Scotty Timmerman and Jay Patrick, they've got to split a game ball. But a lot of guys have stood out in my mind, but those two particularly.
Again, Asaldo takes it and falls on it on the Wolverine 39-yard line. Clock continuing to run under 15 seconds now remaining. Something, Phil, I mentioned earlier in the game, extra points mean a lot, and had New Brighton made those extra points, they could have come up with at least a tie. Clock winds down, 2-1. Wolverines win it in a wild and woolly one here at Helling Stadium by the score of 14-12 over the New Brighton Lions. We'll be back to recap tonight's game right after this message.
Jeez, I hate this stupid old furnace. Well,
And your local Glowcore dealer is N.A. Laszlo Heating and Air Conditioning, 206 Portersville Road in Ellwood City, PA.
It's been a good one. I'm surprised I have any voice left at all. The Wolverines win it 14-12 over New Brighton. They had about a minute 23 to work with. They came back, scored. It was all capped off by a 3-yard run by Billy Chapman on the trap. And actually, if you think about it, setting up that play was that catch from Ketterer to Scotty Timmerman when he caught that one straight over his shoulder as he looked up. And you called it right, Phil, when he said he was looking up like an outfielder for a ball hit hard towards the fence. He was able to hold on to it and be brought down at about the 3-yard line of the New Brighton Lions. Right after that, Chapman takes it in from 3 yards out.
That was just a fantastic high school football game, Jeff. I don't want to say it's the best that I've ever seen because I would probably have to sit down and analyze that for a while. But if I can, I want to just take a second to elaborate on a conversation that I had with Coach Rankin earlier today. I said, Coach, there's a lot of talk around the school about not